Section 106, priority settings follow-up by Tim Weatherfield to join us. Two sides to volume we get through one evening. Tim, would you like to just give a very quick summary of what we're proposing this evening in relation to this item and what councillors need to consider?
Chair, I'll try and keep this brief. There are two issues that I need to cover. Last December we promised to come back to you with the issues, primarily the first point around the area committee has around £40,000 to £50,000 of devolved outdoor sports contributions that need to be allocated to a project that can be contractually committed by November 2017. As promised, we asked members to comment on a range of possible options. The member discussions helped to confirm that members may wish to hold on to some of the 115 to 125,000 of devolved outdoor sports contributions that are available overall for projects that may take longer to develop. In terms of the possible projects that would help to address the immediate issue of the contributions with the November 17 expiry date, there are two really that seem to have risen to the top from the member support that they received at the time, and those are covered in paragraphs 4.3 and 4.6 to 4.6 of the report. That's around the proposals for Histon Road recreation ground football area and or the Christ Pieces tennis court upgrade. Now, you have sufficient money in your devolved funds to do both of them, but given the comments that have been raised about there are other projects that in the longer term you might still want to develop, you might want to choose one of those two. So that's the first issue. The second one was just following on from the December report, committee, where the committee agreed to prioritise a play area improvement scheme at Shelley Row. Councillor Holland has since highlighted that there are some concerns from nearby residents who would prefer that the play area is not improved in that way, and has asked us to consider the option of further improvements at Histon Road Recreation Ground. And I know that the possibility of a climbing frame is something that has been mentioned for that. What members would propose to do, given that there is, from the play area audit data, that there is a case for consulting on the play area improvements at Shelley Row. We want to continue to look at that to see whether the concerns that have been raised thus far are representative of wider local opinion. But at the same time, we would also want to extend the consultation to also include the option of further improvements at Histon Road Rec, either as well or instead of Shelley Row, just to make sure that, given that there is this play area contribution with a May 2017 expiry date, that we can be on top of that and make good use of the funding locally.
Okay, any comments from councillors? Councillor Hepkin.
What Tim didn't, I think, say, which is very germane to our discussion on this, is that 106 funding is going to dry up, and it's going to be much scarcer in coming years. And I think, therefore, the argument for holding back quite a lot in reserve, if you will, is a very powerful one. I mean, I think we would be making a great mistake to feel that we've got to spend the money. It's a sort of like city deal in microcosm. So I very much favour the modest scheme for the Histon Road rate, because I think one of the things that we need to emphasise about the Histon Road rate is that it stands between Castle and Harbury, and it's used by a lot of people from over the other side of the Histon Road. So it's a genuinely multicultural. It's not, people from a wide spectrum of local society use it, and it is used pretty well every day for kickabouts for football. And I'm afraid the turf is sadly degraded, and it would be wonderful if money could be found to upgrade that particular. And I completely agree that on Shelley Road, Councillor Holland's discussions with local residents suggest the need for a pause and a rethink about how that should go forward. So those would be two recommendations.
Okay. I echo the point in relation to the nature of spend on Section 106, but the only point I would make is that we should avoid giving the money back to the developer. So where it's time limited, we need to make sure we spend it. I'd be very, very annoyed if we had to give the money back. I think there's only been 1 or 2 occasions in the last 15 years where we've ended up giving some money back to a developer on a Section 106, and that is something we should not be doing. So on the time limited money, we need to make sure that that is prioritised so that actually it can be spent. And I think this proposal does kind of address that in a way that it makes sure that that time limited money from November 17 is actually spent appropriately. That's the bit.
Mr. Chair, I'm not going to, like Councillor Hipkin, advocate that spending should be in my ward and no one else's ward. but I don't see why we shouldn't go forward with both of these schemes. There is a need, I believe, strongly for the Christ Pieces tennis courts to be improved, and it's always going to cost this sort of money. We have this sort of money. I don't see why we should not be proceeding with it. I know of no reason why the Histon Road football area shouldn't also be tackled. I just somehow feel that we sometimes make these things so complicated that we actually cause sort of frustration about delivery. And if we've got 2 schemes, why can't we get on with it?
Councillor Hall.
I've read the report and it's really well written. Could you just clarify? Sorry.
Would Tim Winifred just clarify, if there is a hold on money for the Histon Road, the consultation on Histon Road rec for a large piece of play equipment, which is very much needed in that area, and we're very short of green spaces, will a commitment to funding both projects as recommended here prevent that large piece of equipment being funded for Histon Road rec?
Chair, I think we need to be careful when we say both projects, what we're talking about. The 2 projects that have been suggested in terms of Histon Road Recreation Ground football area and Christ Pieces tennis court upgrade, that is for the use of outdoor sports funding. So that is a separate issue from the other one, and you'll have to forgive me that they're both in the same report, I can see the confusion, but the play area funding from that's in Castle Ward with the May 2017 expiry date, that is a separate matter. So whatever the area committee chooses to do on the outdoor sports funding issue doesn't deal with the other matter of the play area funding. So that is why, by suggesting that the consultation on the play area options, it covers both the Shelley Road proposals and the Histon Road proposals, I'm trying to find a way forward that would enable the area committee to make use of that devolved play area funding by May 2017. If that's really how we want to do it. If that didn't happen, we would have to look at other ways through taking reports to the Community Services Scrutiny Committee about how we could make sure that money with expiring debts we do not have to give back because we will make use of it, and it won't happen.
Thank you
So,
very much. Thank you, Sharon.
So, any other comments? Maybe Councillor Gillespie, then Councillor Singer.
Speaking in support of the Ctte Pieces tennis courts as well, the surface there is currently fairly slippery, so leaving it as it is would be hazardous, would incur costs in terms of cleaning, so I'm in favour of the proposal.
Councillor Singer.
I'm going to support the same scheme, actually, only to be the one councillor who supports the scheme outside of their ward. I do actually think that the Ctte Pieces tennis courts are very well used and are used by people from across the city, and I think to spend money on those would be extremely useful.
Okay, Tim, you wanted to comment on that?
Chair, it would be possible from the funding that you have for the area committee to take forward both the tennis court upgrade and the football area improvements. The issue that I just need to really emphasise is that if you do that, there will be next to nothing left in the devolved outdoor sports funding for the future. There may be some further monies that were agreed for generic off-site contributions agreed before the April 15 cut-off date that will come in, but it won't be that much. So just so long as the area committee realises that if you use this money now, it won't grow back, and there will be much less that you have to play with for later. But you can certainly take forward both projects that we're talking about now, the football area and the tennis court upgrade.
Okay, Councillor Gillespie. And we'll come to a decision later.
Is there an option to vote on a smaller programme of work to the Ctte Pieces tennis court improvements? And the second question is, in the interest of supporting the needs in other wards, I'm interested if there is any possibility of working on the small paddling pool in Lammas Land to make it easier to prevent further incidents where it's taken out of use by vandals.
Chair, you'll have to forgive me for the lateness of the hour. I've forgotten the first question. Could you repeat that?
Less money on the Ctte Pieces and still deliver a result.
Forgive me. We did look at that option, but given that there are 4 tennis courts there, to do 2 and not the other 2, it was felt that might look a bit silly. So it would be, the suggestion there was that all 4 would be done at the same time. Now, in terms of the Lammas Land paddling pool, we have to be thinking of two issues there. One, to make sure that the right contribution type was being used, but also Section 106 funding is to mitigate the impact of development, the increased uses and demands on facilities because of new homes and an increase in population. To do something that is really about anti-vandalism, I think it would be very questionable whether that would come under the category of mitigating the impact of development.
Okay, so given the hour, we're going to do, I'm going to make a proposal. What I'm going to propose is actually, in relation to the recommendations, we have a slight amendment. And rather than saying and/or, we just say and. So it becomes 2.1a, the Histon Road Rec football area, and then 2.1b is also moved forward, which is the Ctte Piece tennis courts. And then 2.2, I think ward councillors in Castle are happy with the 2.2 recommendation, I think, aren't you?
Yes.
So the only difference I'm saying is I'm just deleting the or. That's the only difference. So we're taking...
One vote.
Yeah, we're going to have one vote,
Okay.
right? So all those in favour of moving forward on this basis?
Okay.
to be making. And Tim might make his park and ride bus. He might actually.
Do you want to do it?
Yeah.
Thank you very much, everyone.